Hello movie lovers, Bob for Bob's Movie Review here, and today I'm bringing my unboxing and review of The Karate Kid Part 3 and The Next Karate Kid on Blu-ray. Be sure to click subscribe and click on the bell icon to be notified whenever I upload great new content. If you do enjoy the video, be sure to show it some love and give it a like rating. So this one includes Blu-ray. I'm just guessing it's a one disc. I'm not positive. It includes The Karate Kid Part 3 and The Next Karate Kid. I don't believe I've ever seen either. I'm not real familiar with the Karate Kid movies, to be honest. I don't own any of them, besides these two now. This one is from Mill Creek Entertainment. 2 students, 1 master, and the ultimate combo. The Karate Kid Part 3, 112 minutes. Ralph Macchio and Noriyuki Morita return with more invaluable lessons about life, honor, and friendship in The Karate Kid Part 3. It's rated PG. It's from 1989. Wow, how old is the original one? And The Next Karate Kid, 107 minutes. Oscar nominee Naoki Morita and Oscar winner Hilary Swank co-star in The Next Karate Kid, the story of a rebellious teen Julie who needs a little help from her friends. In this case, the wise Mr. Miyagi and a trio of Buddhist monks. The action kicks into overdrive when Julie is pitted against a posse of paramilitary students who rule her high school. And while their leader teaches them to fight to kill, Julie and Miyagi teach them the secret of fighting to live. This one is rated PG. It's from 1994. If you guys have ever seen either of them, I'd love to hear your thoughts about them in the comment section below. Let's check out the inside. No artwork on the inside. I was right. It is just a one disc black. Alright guys, I got to check out The Karate Kid Part 3 and The Next Karate Kid, which I guess would be 4. So let's just start with Karate Kid 3. Now, I've never really been into the Karate Kid movies. I don't own any of them besides obviously these two now. So I'm not going to really discuss them since I don't know anything about them, and I'm not going to base my review based on the first 2 movies. Although I am confused what happened between the first and second movie, or the first and third movie. Because in the third movie, they show a little bit of the first movie, and they say it's like a year later. And I'm like, okay, so the second movie took place less than a year between the two? Like, it just seemed like maybe it takes place right as soon as the first one ends. I don't know. If you guys know, I would love to know. So Karate Kid Part 3 is rated PG, has a 1 hour and 52-minute runtime, is an action drama family movie. It's directed by John G. Avildsen, and of course stars Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita. Now, in this one, Daniel-san is not really doing karate. He's supposed to be going to college, but he takes his college money to open a bonsai store for Mr. Miyagi. I know it sounds really weird, and it is. It's very weird. Then the guy from the first one who ran the Cobra Kai dojo, he decides to give up karate because nobody wants to come to his lessons anymore, and he just kind of looks washed up and, you know, just kind of done. And whoever this other guy is, I don't know if he's in the other ones or not. He's kind of like his, I don't know if it's like his brother or he just knows him. I don't know. It's really weird. But he's like, no, you're the greatest karate man of all time. You go on vacation. I'm gonna get your business going again. So this guy, who is obviously super wealthy and kind of seems a little shady, like they don't blatantly just come out and say he's like a bad guy, but he seems kind of like, you know, he's doing a lot of criminal activities. And he buys him like 40 dojos or something, and he's like, I'm setting my whole mind on just getting revenge on Daniel. It's like, really? You're like a criminal and you have millions and millions of dollars, and you're You're worried about getting revenge on this kid for winning a karate tournament? Like that's all you're gonna do with your life now? And so he hires this guy out of a karate magazine to compete against him in the all city tournament or whatever it was called, and he's like much better than Daniel. And then he pretends to train Daniel in a bad way so that it'll be bad for him. And his whole goal is to cause him pain and more pain and then suffering. And so that Mr. Miyagi doesn't want to train him. He's like, oh, you don't fight anymore. Let's just say, spoiler alert, this movie's like 30 years old. He does end up fighting in the end. The fight at the end, the fight at the end doesn't really make a lot of sense. I mean, I've never been to a karate tournament, but you have to score 3 points to win, and you score a point by like striking your opponent successfully or whatever. But there's rules: no face shots, no groin shots, and so the guy tells him, get a point, lose a point, get a point, lose a point, and then you keep beating him up until you get to the sudden death, and then you'll win. Okay. And that might have made sense if like he was like full on attacking, like say he comes up and like punches him in the stomach really hard or something, or kicks him in the leg or does something, and then he lets Daniel do something to him. But no, that wasn't it. He would hit Daniel, then on the next move or whatever, he would do an illegal move. How long could they keep letting this go on? Like, first he kicks him in the groin. It's like, okay, it was an accident. Then he punches him in the face. It's like, well, I don't know. Then he just like starts grabbing him and hitting him a bunch of times. It's like, this is no longer a karate tournament. The guy's just beating him up. Why don't they stop it? Like, why don't they disqualify this guy? Because he's obviously not trying to win. Every other point he's doing an illegal move. And they even say at one point, oh, one more and you're done. But he just keeps doing it. So this movie's all right. That Ralph Macchio, I mean, like I said, I'm not familiar with like the first and second movies, but his acting was not very good in this one. It was just kind of silly and weird and all over the place, and it looked like he had way too much sugar. And some of the fighting, like these guys keep trying to get him to sign the fighting contract or whatever it was, and there's some fights along the way, and some of them looked really, really bad. Like you could tell they were like 12 feet apart when they were fighting. They're like, which, yeah. So, but overall, the story wasn't that bad. I mean, the movie was okay. I definitely towards the end, got a lot better, and I started liking it a little more. Just kind of a lot of the acting felt really stiff, and so I think for this one, guys, I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10. It's not a terrible movie, but it's definitely not a movie I loved. So now the next Karate Kid, this one came out 5 years later. It's rated PG, has a 1 hour and 47 minute runtime as an action drama family. Is directed by Christopher Kane, and instead of Ralph Macchio, has Hilary Swank as the Karate Kid. Now this movie is really strange. So Hilary Swank's parents have died, and she's living with her grandmother. And for some reason, Mr. Miyagi's getting some award from the army for his work in the army or whatever he was in. I don't remember if it was the army, but also this one of his fellow soldiers, he's passed, and so they're giving it to his wife, and she's the grandmother of Hilary Swank. I don't know if they gave like a clear indication of how long ago they died, but she's just like really mad and acting out and being a big pain and everything. And so Mr. Miyagi says, okay, you go on vacation, I'll stay here and take care of her. And so of course, he's trying to be calm and understanding and trying to help her. And she's like got this hawk she's taking care of. The whole thing is just really silly. And it turns out her dad had taught her karate before he died, and so she kind of knows karate. And then she gets suspended from school, so Mr. Miyagi takes her to this monastery to continue her training. Like, what's even going on? Like, okay. And then she goes on this date with this guy, and there's this other guy who wants to beat him up, and there's a whole group of guys. So she's like, let me fight him. It's like, just leave. Come on. And even though Mr. Miyagi insisted, always try to avoid a fight throughout the movie, now he's like, oh, go fight, whatever. It's like, what? You said to avoid the fight. They could have just walked away. They didn't have to fight. And so then like they're fighting, and part of her training was, you know, using her senses besides her vision. So he throws some mud and it hits her in the face, and it's obviously not in her eyes, and she can see fine, but then she has to use her non-vision senses to win the fight. And then they just kind of like, yeah, we give up, and then it's over. But everything just felt like this really forced, really awkward fight at the end that didn't really make a whole lot of sense. There's no explanation of what happened to Daniel or why he's not in the movie, or you know, any of that. Maybe him and Mr. Miyagi still live together, but there's not really any mention of it, and the whole thing is confusing. I don't know about Hilary Swank's acting in this one. I mean, I'd like to say it's bad, but maybe that's just how a teenage girl acts. I guess I'll find out in a few years, but I don't know. This movie's all right. It's just everything in it's just so weird and doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So I think for a score on this one, I'll give it a 5 out of 10. You know, it's okay movie, but I think this would have been better off not using the Karate Kid name and just being something else, and then it wouldn't really be, you know, attached to the Karate Kid franchise. But I'm sure they were trying to cash in on the Karate Kid franchise, so it's kind of like a catch-22 there. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, please be sure to leave a like, rating. If you haven't already, subscribe for more videos. Check out suggested videos. Check out my website, bobsmoviereview.com, and I'll see you guys next time.